Let's continue our journey with the API of Zabbix. So let's see how we can get the hosts. So in order to get the hosts, we need to use the request module and the JSON module. After that import, what we have to do is the following. We either get a token, as you've seen in the previous video, or we reuse the token that is created on the API. So basically, this one, I have copied it, and let's call this token. And in order to get hosts, we have to create the following JSON document. We repurpose this part, and basically this is also going to be using the JSON RPC. The method is going to be different. We will use the host.get, and for the params we have to specify the following. We want an output which consists of the following values: host ID and host. And we would like to also get the select interfaces, which will consist of interface ID and IP. And once we have it, we need an ID, and we also need to specify the auth field, which will be our token. Now what we have to do is to craft our query. Let's call this host list, and we use this URL. This is the endpoint that we are talking with, and we want to use the get hosts. And if everything goes well, we should get the host list. Let's run it. And as you can see on the output, we got in the result field the hosts. In order to reference it, what we have to do is the following. We get the result key from the host list. If we rerun it again, we get this one as a list, and we can go through the hosts and create a nice print statement which says that this is the host's ID and the host's name. So host name, and let's run it. Host ID, sorry, and it should have the host, and there we go. And if we want, we can use the interfaces, and host interfaces. So there we go. This is how we can get the hosts. And we also talked about triggers. So let's say we want to define on our ReaperPy host 2 new triggers. So let's do that. Trigger definition, and this is going to be a JSON, and we will use the JSON RPC with the trigger create method. And in the params, we have to specify the following. First, we would define the description, which will state that this is the processor load to high, and we want it on the host dot name. And we want an expression which is going to be last. This is going to be the server name, system.cpu.load all average 1, and this is greater than 5. This is one of the params, and the other param is another CPU load on host.name, and basically we will use the CPU util, and we say that this is the 5-minute interval, and if it's greater than 300. And after that we have to specify the auth, which will be the token, and the ID, which would be 1. So this is the way to define new triggers, and basically we can use the trigger definition to populate this value, and that's it. After that we can print the trigger definition. If it goes well, invalid second parameter, oh sorry, average, not the last. So let's go, and as you can see, two new triggers were defined with these IDs. Great. So the next thing that we would like to do, I'm going to comment this out because we don't want to define this trigger. If we were to define this trigger or try to define it, it will give an error stating that the trigger exists. And if we want, we can get trigger information, and basically this is also going to use the JSON RPC endpoint. And in the params we have to define a dictionary, and here the output is going to be the trigger ID and the status, and we need the authentication token and an ID. And in the end we can print out this information. So let's try and repurpose it like this one, and I'm going to use this variable name to get hosts, and if we run it, unexpected parameter in output. So params, output, trigger ID and status. What is it? Unexpected parameter. Yeah, now it's missing. So ID is 1. And let me just try to use my original notes. And this is the token. And there we go. We have the list of triggers. So technically, this was all I wanted to show you about the API usage. Now you have a solid foundation as to how you can start and go out and create your own scripts with the help of the API. See you in the next one.